Hello students, welcome to another session of biology class in Uttarun. In the last video, I've discussed about the topic growth, which is a subtopic under the heading characteristics of living beings. So now in this video, it is the second character that I will be discussing, second and third. And this video is the second video of the series characteristics of living beings. I hope you have enjoyed the previous video. So let's start with the session. Metabolism. So today I'll be discussing about two defining characters, that is metabolism and consciousness. These are the defining characters of living beings. What are defining characters? Metabolism is a defining character because it is unique to living beings. You will not see a non-living being metabolizing, right? So metabolism and consciousness, they are both defining characters of living beings. I've discussed in the previous video what a defining character is. I'm just recapitulating it once. So metabolism is the total amount of biochemical reactions involved in maintaining the living conditions of the cells of an organism. So metabolism is the sum total of all the biochemical. So in simple words, we can say that metabolism is the sum total of the biochemical reactions involved in the proper functioning of a living organism. A living organism, in order to function properly, performs various biochemical reactions. From digestion, respiration, we all know a few by now. So metabolism is the sum total of that. All living organisms require energy for different essential processes and for producing new organic substances. Our body requires maintenance, repair, and again, for proper functioning, it requires different nutrients, different compounds, the chemicals. And to perform various activities also, it requires energy, which comes from these processes. So it involves both synthesis and breaking of compounds. In order to describe metabolism in a better way, we have to study the sub-processes. There are two heads which come under metabolism, anabolism and catabolism. So what is anabolism and what is catabolism? It is better understood if I put it up in the form of a table, a difference table. So what is anabolism? It is the sum total of the constructive processes. So all the constructive processes come under the head of anabolism. Catabolism is just the reverse. It is the sum total of the destructive processes. In case of anabolism, complex substances are formed from the simpler ones, whereas in case of catabolism, simpler substances are formed from the complex ones. The best example I can give to explain metabolism occurring inside a cell, not just metabolism, it's better to say anabolism and catabolism happening inside a cell. It will be chlorophyll containing plant cell. Why we are taking this example? In presence of chlorophyll, the plant is performing photosynthesis, which is an anabolic reaction. And as it is a living cell, it has to respire. So respiration is a catabolic process. In case of anabolism, complex substances are formed from the simpler ones. Same in case of photosynthesis, from carbon dioxide and water we are getting glucose. In case of catabolism, simpler substances are formed from the complex one, just the reverse of anabolism. In case of respiration, glucose is broken down to get carbon dioxide and to get energy, isn't it? In case of anabolism, energy is stored. Now, in a living system, energy is stored in the form of chemical bonds. So, when a complex structure is being formed from a simpler substructure, new bonds are being formed. So, the energy is stored in these bonds. The reverse is happening for catabolism. The energy is released. And what is the organism doing with this energy release? See, the fourth point of catabolism, it is required for performance of different activities. So all the catabolic processes are releasing energies, and that energy is used for performing of different activities. Obviously, some compounds are also generated by catabolism, which are again used up by the organism to do something. Those things happen. It's not like only energy release is the main motive of catabolic processes. There are the intermediates or certain final products are also used up. Next, anabolism is required for growth and maintenance. Why? In case of anabolism, new compounds are being formed. So new compounds are used up for growth and maintenance, isn't it? So that is the summary of anabolism and catabolism. Now, in order to explain the concept in better way, I've taken help of the flow chart, which is represented over here. See, the flow chart represents, just a moment, yeah. See, we are starting with food intake. Now, if you observe the chart, the flow chart, there are some arrows in blue and there are some arrows in green. So the blue arrows represent the catabolic processes, whereas the green ones represent the anabolic processes. When we eat food, it is broken down into respective nutrients, proteins, complex carbohydrates, and triglycerides. Our digestion process ends at this stage. Now, what happens with the proteins? These proteins are further broken down into amino acids. This is a catabolic process. Now, from amino acids, we know our body requires different proteins for maintenance and repair. So, we are using up the amino acids to form these proteins. So, amino acids are forming proteins by the process of anabolism. Next, again, in case of acute scarcity, what happens? The proteins are broken down into amino acids again. So, this condition happens in case of extreme starvation. So, that is again what? A catabolic process. Next, in case of complex carbohydrate, what is happening? That is again broken down into simpler form, that is glucose. Now, as we know, the level of glucose in our blood is maintained at the liver. The excess storage, I mean, the level is maintained by insulin and glucagon. These hormones maintain the levels, but the glucose is stored in the form of glycogen at liver and at sometimes at skeletal muscles. So glycogen is being formed at these sites. So this formation comes under the head of anabolism. Whereas when the level is low in blood, what happens? The glycogen is again reconverted to glucose. So that is catabolic process as it is being broken down. So this is an interconversion happening. Now this glucose, what is happening? When it is going to the cells, it is again broken down. Glycolysis Krebs cycle, reaction of respiration taking place at the respective cells. So energy is being released till ADP formation, adenosine diphosphate stage. It is anabolism. Sorry, it is catabolism. Since breaking down is happening, breaking is happening. Now from ADP to ATP, phosphate group is getting added up, phosphorylation is taking place. So it is synthesis. That means it is anabolic process. Hence it is represented by a green arrow over here. Next, fats. The complex fats are being broken down into glycerol and fatty acid, which when not in used are stored in the adipose tissues, for example, in our body. But in case of starvation, when there is a shortage of energy, what is happening? These fats are broken down, these lipids are broken down into glycerol and fatty acids. Our body's primary source of energy is glucose, right? The other three are used in case of scarcity of glucose. So whatever the case is, now those things will be discussed under the chapters of respiration nutrition. We'll be discussing those later in the videos. But for this chapter, for understanding the concept of metabolism, we are just understanding the fact where compounds are being broken or compounds are being formed or in terms of energy released or energy produced. This is the only thing we are going to take away from this chart. The details will be discussed, details of these respective processes will be discussed under the heads of the respective topics. So this was about anabolism and catabolism. So anabolism and catabolism comes under the head of metabolism, and metabolism is the sum total of the biochemical activities going inside an organism. Next topic that I'll be discussing for the living organisms, it is a defining character obviously, that is consciousness. So what is consciousness? All organisms from the prokaryotes to the most complex eukaryotes have the sense of consciousness that can sense and respond to environment stimuli. So as I have discussed, as I've mentioned in the short video that we have published few days back. Consciousness is the decision that an organism takes whether to respond to a stimuli or not. Now, this decision, this awareness of stimuli is only observed in living beings. If you leave, say, a rock outside, if it is under the sun, it will not respond. If it is raining outside, it will not respond. If it is extremely cold, sub-zero level, then also it will not respond. So this response, this choice to respond, this awareness of stimuli comes only to the living organisms, not for the non-living beings. Hence, consciousness is another defining character of the living being. So our awareness of internal and external stimuli is referred to consciousness. So what are internal stimuli or internal sensations? Internal sensations. I've given the examples: pain, pain, hunger, thirst, tiredness, awareness of one's thoughts and emotions. These are all internal. Everything is happening internally. You're sad, you're unhappy, you're extremely happy, you've qualified NEET. So that excitement, that happiness you have not cleared in the first attempt, that also is the pain, that sadness, that depression. Both ways. Let us discuss both ways. Hunger, thirst, tiredness. So all these are internal sensations. And external sensation means that you're touching something, it is hot. You're touching something, it is cold. Sensation of heat, cold. A loud noise is going on in the outside. You're not liking it at all. So all these are external stimuli. You are hearing your friend's voice or hearing the voice of your least favorite teacher. So all these things are external stimuli. So whether to react, our awareness about the stimuli is what is referred to the word consciousness. Now, I have given a hint that consciousness is exhibited by the living organism. Now, there is a special type of consciousness which are exhibited by the human beings, especially. That is called self consciousness. What is self consciousness? Aware of itself. From the word itself, you will be able to understand self consciousness means awareness of itself. How to present yourself in public, how to dress up, how to conduct yourselves. These decisions come under the head of self consciousness. So, this is all about metabolism and consciousness. So, let us take two questions related to this topic to explain, to test your understanding. The first question is, which of the following is the process where larger substances are broken into smaller ones? So I've discussed anabolism, I've discussed catabolism. They are the two types of metabolism. They are the two heads under metabolism, not two types. So anabolism is what? Where the products were synthesized. So if it's a synthesis process, then how do we define it? Larger substances were formed from smaller ones. But in this question, they are saying the opposite. Larger substances are broken into smaller ones. So it will be catabolism. As example, I've used respiration. Next, which of the following organisms are aware of itself? Now, consciousness is unique to all living beings, but there was a type of consciousness which is unique to only human beings, and that was self-consciousness. So here the question is saying which of the following organisms are aware of itself. So how do you say a living organism is aware of itself? It knows how to conduct itself. It knows how to present itself. These decisions are only taken by human beings. A dog, a cat, a lizard, they are not social beings. I mean, they have their level of interactions with each other, but human beings display the quality of self-consciousness. So that's all for today, students. I hope you like this video and I hope you are able to understand these concepts better with the video. Please follow us on different social media handles and please follow our channel for follow our channel and page for more interesting content. Thank you.